Well, I thought it was time for me to get from behind the camera and tell you the 411, my health story. This journey has been interesting, and in order to talk about the present, we have to say a little bit about the past. So, all my life, I have been skinny. Since elementary, middle school, high school, I was barely over 100 pounds in high school by the time I graduated, and I maintained that. And then as you get older, I fell in love. I was married for a period. I'm no longer married, but I gained a few pounds that I'm in love weight. So I got up to about 135. And then I got pregnant. I had my beautiful Nevea, my pretty girl. And during the pregnancy, I was good. You really did not know that I was pregnant. I was 6 months, and if you didn't know me personally, you had no clue that I was pregnant. And then that last trimester, I started putting on pounds, and my doctor was like, okay, you're going to kind of have to watch it now. So by the time I had her, I was 179 pounds. I was like, oh my goodness, why? And I remember being in the bed, and they weigh you while you're in the bed. And I remember looking at the scale, and I was like, oh my goodness, I made it up to 179. Now, mind you, I'm a person that's never been heavy. So it was a little difficult, but I brought a life into the world. I grew a person, and I was grateful and thankful for that. And my pregnancy itself was a blessing, but that was a very stressful year for me. So after the weight loss, not weight loss. So after I delivered, I naturally dropped about 9 pounds, and I ended up being 170. Now, I did write down a couple of notes so that I can keep track of the order of things so I don't mess up. So I got down to 170, and I kept that weight. And between 2013 and 2016, so many things happened. A lot of things happened. As I have said before, I have a Job-like story. I have a Job testimony, and I had a series of just unfortunate events happen to me over a 8-year period. But in 2013, I had a scare, and maybe I'll do a separate video about what happened. But I ended up being diagnosed with having a cyst. It scared the crap out of me. It was 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters big. And at the time, I was already telling myself, I need to lose this weight. I need to lose this weight. I can't stay this way anymore. It's so uncomfortable. I'm not happy. I'm miserable. And so I prayed and I asked the Lord, help me get this together. And I had started to hear things about the apple cider vinegar cocktail and how you can detox with that. And I decided I was going to do that. So for a 2-week period, I did the apple cider vinegar cocktail. I did it before breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 weeks. And by the time I was done with those 2 weeks, I lost 10 pounds. And then from there, it just spiraled. I always wanted to run a 5K. And my job at the time just happened to have a running program. I got a random email, and I just happened to see it. I happen to see it. You know how it is when you work in the office, you work in the corporate setting, and you get constant emails all the time. And it was nothing but God that I saw that email. So I saw the email, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sign up. I don't know anybody. I don't have anybody else that's a friend that can join me, but I'm going to join this group. And so we start running every week. It got to the point where I was running during my lunch and everything. And so I went from... During that time, I went from the 170, and I dropped down to 140 pounds. I had started to change the way I was eating and everything. Obviously, I'm a foodie. If you know me, I love food, but I still was very extremely healthy. I said all the time that I had like an 80-20 life. I was 80% healthy, and the 20% was me enjoying myself. And I maintained that weight. For 2017, 2018 comes, and that May, I got injured. I used to dance, ministry dance. I started dancing when I was 5, and so I've done different styles of dancing. And that year I was doing ministry dance and I was praising the Lord. And during a performance, I fell and I hurt my toe. I ended up with turf toe. And then, but even then, I still maintained the weight. Then November 2018 comes, and I am now in a boot because I have injured myself for a second time. My ankle, out of nowhere, just goes out. So they put me in a boot for a month, and I was like, oh my goodness. So even in the boot, I maintained my weight. And I even probably dropped down to a little bit lower than 140 because I was eating healthy during that period. So I could have even got down to like 125, 130, 30. So then April 2019 comes around. Nevaeh and I go on vacation. I was like, we hadn't been on a vacation in a long time. I was like, I'm going to enjoy food. I'm going to do all these things. But right before that, the week before you go out of town, you really don't want to buy any groceries. You don't want to cook. You don't want to do anything. You want to kind of keep your refrigerator clean so that when you come back, you can go shopping, get your groceries, fill up your refrigerator, and go back to regular life. Well, I decided I was going to eat chorizo for like 5 days straight. It was so good. Excuse me. We had a Moe's inside of the building that I work for. There was like different food chains inside there, and one of them was Moe's. And this is not a hate on Moe's. My body just didn't like this. They had you can get the little breakfast bowl where it has the potatoes, the eggs, the cheese, the avocado, like the works. And it was so good. I love chorizo. But my body was like, girl, you are out of line. Because at this point, I forgot to mention, I am not eating red meat. I had dropped down to turkey, chicken, and fish. And steamed vegetables, and just different styles of vegetables. And so to eat that chorizo from nowhere, my body was mad at me. So I noticed on that vacation with Nevaeh that my stomach started to, every time I ate, my stomach started to get extremely bloated. Extremely, to where I was like, this is not normal. This is not normal, and something is wrong with me. So I waited a little bit. I was trying to work it out and figure out what was going on, but it was just it got to the point where it was so bad. Anytime I drank water, a salad, anything, I would get extremely bloated and feel so uncomfortable. I looked like I was a good 2-3 months pregnant, and then it would get worse where I looked like I was 4-5 months pregnant, and I'm like, okay, I need to go to the doctor. So I went to my doctor. I told him what was going on. He's like, it sounds like you're having some digestive problems. He was like, I want to send you to a specialist so they can go check it out. He's like, we want to put a scope down your throat. And I'm like, what? You want to put a scope down my throat? No, sir. No, sir. So, and this is still, at this point, we're now we're going close to October, September, November, what is that? September, October, November. We're somewhere in that time frame. So what happens? The plague comes to the world. I think it was here towards November, December, we started hearing things about it. And then by January, we were shut down. So there was no more going to the doctor and all that. So I was just kind of dealing with it. And then dealing with the stresses of, now I'm working from home. I'm a single mom. I have what is this? This is 2020. So I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old getting ready to be 7 at home, trying to do schoolwork. Like, at this point, we're in survival mode. Like, let me just survive this period of my life. But even though I didn't allow the mental part of, like, staying at home and all that stressed me out, it was the mental part of dealing with all the stress of, oh, my lighting's changing. Pause. I can't fix that. That sucks. We might have to just deal with it. Oh, if I move a little bit, that's better. Where was I at? Let's see. I think I was talking about the stress of it. The stress of it all. The stress of it all was a lot. And some prior, the reason why I gained all that weight is because I was very stressed out. I was dealing with depression. My life was in torment. It was just, everything was turned upside down. And so I can eat sometimes because my emotions are all over the place. So I'm like, oh, you're stressing me out? Let me have this chocolate. Oh, stress number 2? Let me have a thing of fries. So slowly, the weight began to add up. It was a slow process, but I literally gained all of my weight back in 2020. And then on top of that, to add the cherry on top of the plague year, my dad passed away. And that was very difficult. And it was not something that we had no clue that it was coming. And I've shared some of that before in the past, and I may go into detail at a different time in life. But so then on top of that, now I'm dealing with grief. I had to mourn. And so he passed away in September of 2020. And then so basically, you have to give yourself a year to recover from a loss like that. My dad was everything to me. Anytime somebody said anything to me or I talked about my dad, it was always like, that girl loves her daddy. Because I loved my daddy. And then so 2021 was just a healing period. All right, let's try this again. Oh, my lighting is different now because the sun came through. Now I see what people are talking about when they're like, oh, I'm sorry for my lighting. This is all new to me. And now I don't remember where I was. Just great. I think I was saying you have to allow yourself at least a year to really heal from a loss. And even then, it's still time. It still takes time. But the initial shock of everything is not what it was in the beginning, especially if you have a relationship with the Lord. And if it wasn't for the Lord, I would not be okay right now, probably, because that's how much my dad meant to me. And I wouldn't. I say all the time that death meets you. It's not. I say all the time that death does not discriminate. It can happen to you at any age, under any circumstance. And so you should be more concerned about your heart and where you're going after you leave this earth. And how you've lived while on earth. Have you been a good person? And so now that brings us to the end of 2021, because my mom knew that I was struggling, that I really just I was praying, asking the Lord, like, please, like, Lord, I really need help. I had tried to lose weight at different times throughout the year, but I had no success. I would fall off, something would happen, and then I would find myself eating junk food again. And then I was like, look, this is not working. So she happened to come across this product, another similar situation where it's like she just runs across something and was like, well, I'm going to buy this for you and we're going to try and see if it works. So I start using Dr. Guntrees. Dr. Guntrees products. And we initiated that because she started it too. So we initiated that in November, right before Thanksgiving. And I was like, I remember telling her, Mom, really? Like, you want to start this during the middle of the holidays? That is the best time to get the best food. Like, who wants to start a diet in the middle of the holidays? But I was like, okay, I need to do this. So I committed. I started taking the product. I started noticing changes instantly, like within the first 2 to 3 weeks. Well, even that first week, I started noticing, I'm like, okay, this stuff really works because it's supposed to help with digestion, your energy level. Like, I believe you put in your information, the problems that you're having, and then it caters the product to what your issues are. So, and mind you, I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is just my story and my journey and how I went from one thing to current. So I always say, pray. God goes first. Pray, and seek a doctor, and get medical advice from a professional. And I have gone to the doctor here and there throughout this period. That's why I found out my iron was low. I never had an issue with my iron. So it was just a lot of things that occurred. So anyways, back to what I was saying. So I noticed the product was working. And then this is how the enemy always works. When he knows that you're succeeding, that you're on the right path, because I also got confirmation about the product as well. I follow, oh my goodness, what's their name? I follow leadfarmer 76 and his wife, Lady Lead. They have YouTube channels as well. And she wrote a book, and she was talking about her health journey. And I just happened to come across her information. I saw like a notification, and I was subscribed to her husband's channel. And I think I knew here and there that she had a channel, but I wasn't subscribed to it. But then when I saw that post, I was like, you know what? I'm following him. I need to follow his wife too. So I subscribe, and then I started looking at the comments, and I saw that she wrote a book, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you wrote a book. So I asked for the link. She sent it to me, and I purchased her book that day because I like to support Black-owned businesses. So when it came in the mail and I opened it up and I started reading it, within the first like 5-10 pages, I realized she was talking about Dr. Guntrees' products, that she used the products too. And I was like, Lord, you work in mysterious ways. I was like, you always give confirmation, let us know that we're on the right direction. So I just took that as, you know what, you're on the right path. But then I got sick right after Thanksgiving. I got a common cold. I had a bacterial infection, and I had to go on antibiotics because I was trying to delay going to the doctor. I wanted my body to naturally fight my sickness, and I just couldn't get rid of the crud. So I finally went ahead and just went to the doctor, and they're like, oh, you have a bacterial infection, and they had to give me antibiotics. And antibiotics are not good for the body. They heal you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying antibiotics are appropriate when they're necessary. And in my situation, I needed them. But it also does things to your body after the fact. So as soon as I was done, what did I do? I did an apple cider vinegar, like at least once a day. Because my body recognized that I did that before. And it was like, that's not going to work this time. I know what you did to me. And that's not working this time. So I only did it once a day. And then I also did a cleanse. And I talked to a pharmacist about that and got direction on how to do the cleanse. And so I did that. And after that, I started walking. I told myself I was going to do 6,000 steps. I just picked a number. I was like, we'll work with 6,000 steps. And if I do more than that in the day, that's success. So now I'm at 8,000 steps. I have lost over 5 pounds. I'm close to 7 pounds. And this last 3 weeks have been great. they've been encouraging. And I want you to know that this is not a New Year's resolution. This is, I need to get my life together. I need to get my weight in control. It's not comfortable to not be able to tie your shoe with ease, to feel like you have asthma and you don't. You know, you're walking up a flight of stairs, and by the time you get halfway, you can't even finish because you're huffing and puffing. Huffing and puffing. Can't even make it up to the top of the stairs. Like, you know, if I have trouble getting up off of the floor and I can't run with my child, like, that's no fun. That's no fun at all. So I thought I would just share my story to hopefully encourage someone else, and to also give myself accountability. Like, you got this. You've done it before. You've lost 30 pounds before, and you can do it again. So I'm going to do it again. Thank you for listening to my story. Hopefully I'll do more videos where I'm talking about the different things that have happened in my life. I feel that that's the direction the Lord is telling me, is that I need to start telling my story. It's important to tell your story. And this is At Nicole's Place. My name's Chanel Nicole. And thank you. Until next time.